Bienvenue. Hello. I want to say hello and welcome. Hello. Hello. Welcome. Yay. And thank you for watching. This is the third and final part of today's premiere stream of Roslidian Plays Minecolonies. And yeah, let me, this is new Masseque, and I'm going to start out right away. This is a premiere stream on YouTube. This is the first time that I'm streaming on YouTube. And what I intend to do is do Sunday City Sundays. On Sundays, I will stream all three cities and do tours and talk about the people. And then on the rest of the week in Twitch and in Mixer, you can watch me actually work on the city and watch all the people live their lives. So this is Minecolony New Masseque, the jungle's edge. We are at the city hall, but let's go back a little bit farther than city hall. Let's go out. The sun is setting, and what a great time. This is current day New Masseque. This is the jungle's edge. You see the jungle, the swamp, and this is the entire city right here. But we're going to go over here across these hills to where there is a tower. And I beg your pardon, hold on for a minute. I've got something in my throat. Thank you. This is streaming, of course. This is a tower that was built, actually was modified. The tower is actually one of the dungeon towers from roguelike dungeons, and this tower was modified to be a base from which I could begin to have my mine colony. And so this is where it started. This has sort of been modified since the original, but not much. I think we added the carpeting and the bed, and I'm actually going to go to sleep here so that we have daytime. Hello, I see you. Welcome, welcome. I am just doing the introduction of New Masseque, my mine colony. This roguelike dungeon was modified by Vincentius Primus. It runs on solar energy and has all sorts of different machines in it that were to help me in the early days of setting up mine colony. And so it has refined storage, it has lots of different machines over here, a loot bag opener, iron chests, and cyclic, lots of different cyclic special machines. We're using Mr. Crayfish Furniture, and we do have chisel, which is wonderful. And believe it or not, down here are stairs that go down to a portion of the electrical system, but also continue down into the actual roguelike dungeon. I haven't been down there in a long time. But from this humble beginning, we spread out. We primarily built that because we knew we wanted to have a near castle, we usually do, from our city. And we knew that we could just come over here and this would be our city. Now, when I'm in the city, I actually use a little apartment that is upstairs from this builder's hut. This is actually a builder's hut, and this little apartment is where I stay when I'm in the city and need to sleep or need to put something down. And it is specifically made for the fact that after almost no time in New Masseque was really purely done in creative, and except that I actually made the world in survival first. I prefer to do that, and then set up the mine colony. And the work that I do in the mine colony is done in creative, but all of the rest of the colony is built by the colonists. The colonists build all the buildings in mine colonies. So this is all the work of colonists. And so let's do what we did with New Mombasa, my second city, and Omo, my first city. Let's go here and let's look at the people, and we can see the first three. Once again, this is one of those cities. We can see the first three colonists who immigrated here: Edmund Compton, Charity, and Penelope. The missing of the four, you always start with four colonists, is the one that I'm actually going to talk about first, like I did in the other two cities, to talk about the colonists that are missing, because we probably won't bring them up that much anymore. So this is a memorial area, and these are the people who have died. Because there was peace in New Masseque, not just with the barbarians and the pirates, but also with the revenants, also with the lords of the land, the skeletons, the zombies, the witches, all of those people we did not fight with. So only 3 people have died here. And the last, one of the last people, actually, no, Jerome was the second person actually to die here. And Jerome is the original, one of the original colonists. And Jerome originally built a dark oak city hall right on this spot, because when New Masseque started as a city, there was no jungle. There were no jungle builds. All the buildings were oak and wood and birch and dark oak, and there was not jungle builds as yet. So he originally built a dark oak city hall on this spot, and his original work hut, a builder's hut, was sort of, oh, there it is right there. You can see the ground right here. This was where the dark oak tree was. That was his original builder's hut. And from that builder's hut, he built a lot of the city. We did not get a second or a third or fourth builder until much later in the process. So he built the city. We also knew about children more when we started New Masseque, and we did not want to make the mistake of New Mombasa, which caused them to only have 4 last names in the city. And so we actually had made an arrangement so all the people abided by the restriction, the children restriction, until we had enough people to maybe allow for children to be here, and for us to have a thriving city. And because we did that, we have more names. And even though we have more names, just the same as in Omo and just the same as in New Mombasa, there's always a family whose name thrives, who has the biggest clan, and we do have one of those families here. But it is not Jerome's family. Jerome did not actually profess a love to anybody from the very beginning when there were just the four of them. Um, it seemed like he was interested in Charity, but the other male colonist, early colonist, was Edmund, and he was not hiding his feelings about Charity at all. And Edmund's sister, in a very rare case, Edmund's sister also immigrated, and they were not related to each other, and they were single, so they both came in at the same time. And Edmund's sister did not seem to show any interest, or Jerome didn't seem to be interested in her. So he just continued to build and work on buildings until the first wave of citizens came in. And with the first wave of citizens was Maya. And Maya, who is our baker, he built the bakery for her, and while he was building the bakery for her, you could say that she won his heart through his stomach, that she in fact became his chosen. And it was really strange because when they chose each other, it was almost like they forgot that they had children, or they weren't going to think about their children. They didn't think about it. He never asked any questions, and she never really volunteered any information about the fact that she had quite a few kids. And so when the immigration restriction was lifted, and they were allowed to bring their children in, and I'm looking for the Akasha records right now, the census for New Masseque. Let us see here. So when she Maya, when her kids came, and Maya's kids, let me just find her last name is Goodrick, and let's see if I can find it really easily. I'll have to look even deeper. Here we go. I probably can find it on this list. Yeah, let's see. So Maya, Jerome only had one daughter, Annabelle, but Maya had three children. She had Cecily, Alexander, and John. And Maya and they raised all of those children together. Jerome and Maya raised their kids together. I'm sure that Cecily actually, Maya actually was a good mother and all, but having her own kids and Annabelle being the only child of Jerome, she sort of felt a little tiny bit left out of the family, but she stayed, and Maya was not a bad mother to her, and so their families were blended. And as time went on, the city grew, and Maya's children grew up, and Jerome's children grew up, and we had a couple schools. We started out with this first school, and then we built a second. We actually didn't. This first school was like in New Mombasa. This was a school where you went right from the beginning, and then when you were ready, you went to university. And when the university came into existence, this was the first time that we discovered that there were jungle buildings, and there it was, this amazing university build, this beautiful building that was going to be the university. Now, I haven't said in the other streams for today about the two other cities, but these universities are actually library designs for each of the types of wood, but they always look like schools, and this is the school. Jerome was, of course, the premier builder at the time, even though by the time this was scheduled to be built, Jerome was not the only builder. There were other builders, but Jerome was tasked to, he got the contract to build the new university, and he was really happy about it. So he still had his old builder's hut at the time when that happened, when he was going to build the new university, and he started building it. It was actually started before we got the new city hall, the university was, and it was really interesting. It was a design that came from out of the city. It was designed by someone outside of the city who wanted to become a colonist in the city, who wanted to emigrate to the city, but couldn't because he wasn't allowed yet. He wasn't accepted. So Jerome had this project. Before I go into that, when Jerome was building, when Jerome was a young builder, when the city was very young, one of the four colonists who did not abide by the immigration restriction and actually had a kid very early on was Charity. And Charity had a boy, Noah, and would not say who the father was, and would not say at all who the father was. And to Edmund didn't care because he wasn't going to lose her no matter who the father of the kid was, and he told Charity that he was fine, whoever the father was. He didn't care if it was Jerome or if it was him. Remember, there's only the two of them. And so, but Jerome didn't respond at all to the idea that she had this kid. However, the kid was fascinating. He, from the moment he arrived, he followed Jerome all over, and when Jerome made Penelope, Edmund's sister, a builder's hut so that Penelope would become the second builder, little Noah followed Penelope and Jerome all over the place while they were building, and there was no question that when the kid grew up that he was going to be a builder. And sure enough, he is a builder, and this is his builder's hut over here. We're going to walk down the street instead of flying down to Noah's builder's hut. So Noah became a builder, Penelope was a builder, and Jerome was a builder. So those were the three builders at the time that the university project began. And during the making of the university, a tragedy happened. The only thing that I can figure, and that has ever been figured about this tragedy, is that Jerome fell from a height. He was actually on some scaffolding and fell off, and actually it killed him. And so that is why Jerome is not here today. He was mourned by the entire city, of course, because he had built most of the city. And his chosen, Maya, she was very distressed, and she has never taken another partner. She has remained single since then, His daughter had the hardest time because she lost the one person who she was close to. And when that happened, she had a friend. She was in school. She had a friend named Frights who she nicknamed Friday. And Frights became her best friend before her father passed away. But after her father passed away, Annabelle's father passed away, Annabelle fell apart, and it was because of Friday that she didn't do harm to herself or continued to have a good life. Friday suggested to Annabelle that they adopt a kid together. Get one of the children who comes in with a name but doesn't have a parent in the community, and that they would put their name up as as a couple who would adopt one of those kids. So New Masseque only got two children who came in without parents. One of them was Roland Bassett, and the other one was Barbara Hamden. And Barbara became Friday and Annabelle's daughter, and they raised her in this house here. This house has been completely remodeled since the time that Annabelle was raised in this house, but raised her daughter in this house. Annabelle and Friday raised their daughter in this house. But raising Annabelle with Friday made Annabelle so happy that she then went on to have three beautiful sons. And it was really a shame that Jerome didn't see his daughter give him three grandsons. But her grandsons are grown up now. One of them lives in the family house. Annabelle and Friday moved into the Jungle's Edge area right here, and they live in this house right here now. This house right here, they both live in this house. Now, they did not choose each other. They were not chosen. They actually were best friends who just lived together. In Minecolony Omo, I also had a couple of women who were best friends who roomed together but were not chosen. They did not choose each other. They were singles. I have other people who did choose each other, who were same sex, but they were not one. And so now Annabelle and Friday's kids live around the city, and there's Grayson. So one of their sons, Nolan, lives here with his chosen Kinsley, and they're raising their two sons. Mark is the youngest, and let me see if Grayson, let's see how many boys they do have, but I think they just have the two. So Grayson is the oldest and Mark is the youngest, and they live here. Mason, Annabelle's other son, lives in this apartment building here, and he is a teacher. He lives in this apartment building, and he actually teaches, and I think he is at the university, not at the second school. And then the other kid, I'm going to have to look up his name to find out who he is. So there's Nolan. Let's look for a second, see if I can find them. The Adamses. The Adamses. Nolan. I'm not going to find it easily, am I? I'm probably not. I'll have to come back to that. But the other son is in school, I want to say. more than likely in teaching. And so those are Jerome's descendants at this particular time. So Jerome's descendants, he does have grandchildren, and they actually are living in Annabelle and Friday's old house right here. You can see Nolan right there on the steps up to the bedroom. Now, this house was one of the houses that was redone when we began to start putting more design into the houses, because how many houses can you have? How many dark oak houses can you make? So we began to change them, and so this is their house, and this is their family area, their kitchen, their dining room. This is their little living area that goes out onto a patio, and they have a little hibachi, and this is one of the hibachis that's turned the wrong way. I'll have to fix that during the week. But then their upstairs apartment. Now, this is their upstairs bedrooms, I should say. This is one of the bedrooms with the king-size bed. Minecolonies changed the design of this bedroom. It used to have a double bed, and the double bed was against this window in the old design, and then they separated it into two twin beds and put them right here with a table in between. So this has always been the master bedroom as far as I'm concerned. So I took this bedroom and added the third bed in the middle to make it a king-size bed on the suggestion of Vincentius Primus. Thank you very much, Vincentius, because I was just so distressed about the fact that they took the double bed out of that room. And then this room, there's Mark. This room has always been the kids' room in this dark oak sort of build. We closed this room in, and this is where Annabelle's three sons, this was their bedroom originally, and now it's Mark and Grayson's bedroom, and Mark is going downstairs right now, and because I'm here, I have a feeling this might be a doppelganger. We have a problem in the city. It is a magical problem where people sometimes have doppelgangers that hang out in the city. They go to sleep, they dream, and they leave an aspect of themselves somewhere in the city. If we go down to where Nolan works, because Nolan is in fact the carpenter of New Masseque, and Annabelle is a teacher, his mother, and let's see which is the fastest way there. I guess this would be, and we'll see if he is there. And his chosen, Nolan's chosen, Kinsley, works here. He met Kinsley because Kinsley's restaurant was being built when Nolan's shop was set up right here. I'm going to call him. That might actually be him because I don't see any other evidence of him, so I'm going to call the worker, and he's not coming. So yep, he is away. That's a thing that happens where the person isn't in town really, and they'll show up now that I've called them. They'll show up. But there is Kinsley. This is her restaurant, and Kinsley is the mother of his kids. Now, when Jerome was killed in the construction accident, the city was saddened, but they still needed the university to be built. And the person whose design they were using for all these jungle buildings was named Thomas Adams. And when Jerome died, Thomas Adams petitioned the city to come in and let him finish the project, since of course he was the most familiar with it, since it was his design. And so Thomas came in, and that is how Thomas got to live in the city. And so Thomas took over the buildings, the building that Jerome would have done. Thomas became the fourth builder in town. The third builder, I should say. Thomas became the third builder in town. Now, Thomas didn't want to, like what happened in some of the other cities, Thomas didn't want to take over the building that Jerome had. He wanted to build his own, and of course he did, because he wanted to make a jungle builder's hut, and he did. So that is what happened to Jerome, and so because of that, Jerome's builder's hut was in fact cut down or demolished, and which was actually okay at the time, because it really was one of these things where they needed to have the land, for a portion of the land for the university, because they wanted the university to be located right in the location that it is, and Jerome's old builder's hut coming down, you can see where it is on this walk, made it possible for the university to be built, and for this house that Maya is living in to be built. And Maya lives in this house, and she now lives with her daughter, who has chosen an Ulmer, one of the big clan names in the city, and a big family. It's a family with a lot of people have chosen the last name Ulmer. When you're a kid, you can choose either parent's name, and Annabelle was really pleasantly surprised when all the boys picked the Culkin name for themselves. Annabelle's family came in with her, so they all have the Goodrick name because they came as immigrants. But that's rare when all the kids in the family pick a single parent's name. So in this house, Cecily and her chosen Edmund live, and they share this house with Maya. Now, this is another one of Thomas's designs that has been interior designed to fit their style. They did have a kid living with them, and that's why the bed, the sofa couch in the living room is actually pulled out. Well, this little bedroom, the guest bedroom here, actually, sorry about that. I completely forgot. Wow, this is actually neat. I forgot that this particular one, I closed in this porch area. This is usually a porch, and gave them the living room right here, the dining room here, and the kitchen back in here. And this is their kitchen, this is their dining room, and then their living room, and they have a guest bedroom back there, primarily because they had so many kids, and Kinsley was the last kid to be living at home. And oh, it's nighttime. I just realized that she went to bed. Let me go downstairs. I'm going to sleep on their couch for a moment, just so that I can continue the stream. I'd like to show you the upstairs, and but I can't because people are sleeping upstairs. So I'm going to go to sleep on their couch. There we go. So now it's morning, and they should come down in just a moment. And maybe what I should do, because there's Maya coming home, take a shower and go back to work. What I actually should do is show you what this house looks like when nothing's been done to it, because I have one of those that Thomas just built for Reynold, who is our lumberjack. And Reynold is right now, because he doesn't have a chosen, is just living in this big house by himself. He is hoping to entice someone to be chosen with him, and there is a possibility that he has done that. Now, these doors here are the only thing that is not a part of the original build, and I'm taking them away just so that you can see. This is the original build of this jungle house, and I'll show it to you because we have several different builds of this house. So the way this house is built, there's a bedroom here, there's a bedroom here, and I don't remember whether this, judging from the way the carpet is laid on the floor, that has to be the way the beds were made. I might have changed this bed to a brown bed, and so they just added the second white bed. I'm not sure. This is the way the dining area looks when the house hasn't been done. It's sort of like it's part of the kitchen, and then this is like storage in here, this room in here. This is the way the vanilla Minecolonies build of this building is. And you come up the stairs, and then you have this bedroom right here, and this is the way this bedroom looks like, and this is the way this build is. You can actually see through that paper wall. And then on the other side of this building is this big bedroom here. And so this is exactly the way this house would look if you did a vanilla Minecraft build of this jungle house. So when you look at Maya's house, and we'll go back over here and look at Maya's house for a moment, you will see the difference, and that is actually what I do. That's what I like to do besides tell the stories of the people in town. This is actually what I love to do. And here's something that I haven't fixed, that I started doing. It's not necessary to have that piece of glowstone there. So as you saw, those houses do not have a front door. They're not even closed in. So this house has been completely closed in, so that they actually have a city house now, even though they're in the jungle. And we took that little porch area where that first bedroom was and made it the living room, and where they had their kitchen, we made the dining room there, and we put the kitchen in the storage, in what they had designated as a storage room. It's perfect size for a kitchen and works really well to be a kitchen in this particular house. And then in the living room area, in this back bedroom that used to be here, this bed is not usable. Now that there's a bed, I didn't think about the fact, but the way the house is situated now, there actually could be a bed right here that would be usable. But the reason why I don't have that bed there is because when they get ready to go to bed at night, that's the first bed they're going to come to. And I didn't want the adults in the house picking this bed to sleep in. I wanted them to sleep upstairs. So that's why we have one of Crayfish's beds in this area. This bed the colonists will not use. So not really. So the story that I have is that when everyone comes home, the kids usually come home last and they stay up late and then they crawl into bed when nobody is watching. So that's why this bed is there for them to do that. The adults are upstairs. So this is now Maya's room. This is now Maya's bedroom, and it's a little quiet. I didn't realize that she could actually stand to have a couple pieces of furniture that aren't here and some things. But this is what I do during the week. This is the things that I do when I am playing Minecolonies, telling the story of the people who live here. Is I look at the houses and I fix things in the house. So this is her room. She could actually stand to have a chair, a comfortable chair even. And this is their balcony here, and you notice that they're still using torches in this area. This is something that in some cities these are gone, and I just haven't done much with this house because it was actually built a while ago, and all the things that are in it were done very early on and haven't been changed since. There are things that could be upgraded now. They could have actual carpet, and they could have some more comfortable chairs and things like that. But this is Maya's house that she is now living with her daughter Cecily and with her daughter's chosen Edmund, who is a miner, and his mine is located down in the industrial area of Jungle's Edge. Jungle's Edge is the swamp, and I will rise up and in this last so that we can see that this is the swamp area of the city, and Penelope has essentially done most of the building in this area. When the colony, New Masseque, began to build more in this area, that was when Penelope became a builder. And Jerome was still concentrating on building things over here. I didn't think there was any way to get back up on this roof, but there is. Wow, I haven't seen anybody up there in a long time. Paul's one of the youngest students. He's one of the new students to the university. This is a frat thing that they do. A frat, I don't know what you'd call it. What do they call those things that frats do? Where they climb up the vines and come up on the roof and watch and look at the city. And so from time to time you will see students, and every once in a while the dean and some teachers come up here just to make sure that it's safe and that nothing bad's going on up there. But you can see that he can perfectly get down from that roof and go back into the school and continue his education. So that is that's an interruption. That's one of the things that happens. Jerome was building this part of the city, and then the jungle area of the city, and then Noah, when Noah became a builder, he began building in the plains, building the farm area of the city. This is where our farms are, and this is where we have most of the animal farms, and the food farms were actually built early on by Thomas as a part of the jungle designs that were available. It is one of the most ambitious farms in the Minecolonies collection of builds of farms. It is a full 5 fields owned by one farmer, and this is the building that was built for him to have these fields in the jungle. Now, we built a second farm right here for his chosen, Mildred, to be able to help him. She does one field, leaving him the other 4 fields to do. And it's so interesting to see this today, that while I'm streaming today, because yesterday, when I was in this city, this field was empty. He had completely harvested the entire field, and it was completely empty, and he has done a complete replanting. And it looks like those are potatoes that are replanted in that field. So those are the 3 sections of the city, New Masseque: the jungle section of the city, the plains section of the city, and then the swamp section of the city are really all the jungle's edge, and a lot has been done in this city. Now, this is the youngest city, and so it is the recipient of a lot of modern things that weren't done in some of the older cities that have been done here. For instance, the doing of the interior designing of these jungle houses. So the house that I showed you of Reynolds, there's Maya going home, bringing chocolate chip cookies home with her. There's Maya. Maya's going up. Cecily is already in her bedroom. So Maya's going up to the master bedroom. That's interesting. Cecily must not feel well. And so she is going into her mom's bedroom to sleep. Edmund isn't out of the mine yet. He's going to get home very late. So you saw, and yes, we do have the lords of this land. We have a swamp lord, we have a hills lord, a mountain lord, and we have a jungle lord. We actually more have a jungle witch. The witch was actually the one who owned this part of the jungle. There are some revenants, some skeletons who are in this area, but it was her land right in this area here. And when we began to move in, she for a while stayed in the hill, but then she decided to move on, and we have not seen her in many years. But we do see the Lord and his family, the royal family who live in the mountains, and this is one of their main entrances. This entrance right here is one of the main entrances to their family homes. And then we have a lord in the swamp who we see his sons, or his the royal family, members of the royal family, every once in a while. And right now we're not seeing much of anything. We're seeing zombies who are sent, and in all 3 cities the revenants spy on us. And so when they do, they send in soldiers. You can tell the royal family because they are skeletons that have enchanted bows or enchanted swords. If they have enchanted bows or enchanted swords, they are members of the royal family. If they have just a regular bow or sword, then they are just soldiers, revenant soldiers. And for instance, right down here, we see that we have, as a matter of fact, one of the royal family right there looking at us right now. And up here is a perfect example. This is a soldier who has been rewarded with armor. He has enchanted leather boots, and that is what happens to the soldiers. Now, if they're not usually rewarded with enchanted weapons. but they are rewarded with armor and enchanted armor. You can see there's another soldier down here, and every once in a while you'll see a soldier who has amazing armor on. That's how good a soldier he is to the royal families. So that is the lure that I have for the mobs, what are called mobs in Minecraft. The skeletons, the the creepers. The creepers are actually the pets. There are, oh wow, I haven't seen one of those. Wow. I have not haven't This is the first time ever that I've seen a basalt in my near my city. That's amazing. I see blitzes all the time because of desert, but I have never seen a basalt. That is just for you people, that he has come out and shown himself. But look, there is a zombie villager. Let's quickly, oh shoot, I don't have a lasso. Let's get a lasso right quick so that we can rescue this zombie villager right here. This is actually a villager who has the zombie disease. And Chroma Hills, thank you Chroma Hills for having zombie villagers in Minecolonies. And here we go. So he is rescued. He will be taken along with these other two villagers I have to the desert village that is way beyond the jungle, and they will be healed and they will return to normal village life in the village. And I will do that one time, show that. But if you want to see it anytime soon, you can watch on my Twitch, or you can watch on Mixer. Roslidian is the name for all of my streams, and I stream daily on Twitch and on Mixer in these cities. So yay! We saved a zombie villager, and that is always wonderful. So when we take them back, they'll be cured, and then they'll become villagers again, which is, I love doing that. I love it so much. So, we were talking about the city being 3 cities, actually. We now have 4 builders, and we talked about Penelope helping Jerome by building this area of the city, the swamp area. Look, we have a pet up on the roof. And there is, wow, is that actually a member of the royal family in town himself? Now, it's not the Lord because he's not wearing any armor, so we know that it's not the Lord of the realm, but it is one of the royal family because he has a, that's not an enchanted sword. That is just a normal sword. It's a special sword, but it's not enchanted. That's actually a soldier. So that makes sense, because it's like, wait, a member of the royal family in town? Never. So that is actually a soldier who has gotten an amazing reward. The moon is setting, and isn't that gorgeous? So they're going to start to run because they're going to be in danger of, the sun is their enemy. And that is not a zombie villager kid. That is a normal kid, zombie kid, and he's running. He's probably with that soldier, but they're in danger right now. They're probably supposed to be watching these spiders who are visiting the town and will soon go away. They'll soon go back to the swamp or back to the mountains, depending on who they belong to. So we had Penelope, and then Noah, young Noah, he was a visitor. Wait, is he not going to make it? Oh, that's, I don't know whether he's going to be smart enough to make it or not, because they usually don't like staying near where the people are, and he will probably end up like the kid here, end up dying. And they don't die because they're dead already, so they just go back to where they came from. It's the fastest way back. It's just painful to go back that way. And so Noah essentially built his mother's and father's house. This is Charity and Edmund's house right here. And then he proceeded to build his own house. He originally built this house for Charity and Edmund to live in, and he was raised in this house. But then, as time's gone by, the house was too big for the people who lived there, and so the house has been sold several times. And now the restaurant owner Levi and Levi's son actually lives in this house now. The restaurant owner Benedict and his family live in this house. But Noah built most of these buildings that are up in this area, and the walkways, even though he was using Thomas's designs, he built the walkways. And then only just recently we added a fourth builder. We added Samantha, and Samantha Crane is one of the last of the adult immigrants, colonists, to come in. And when she came in, she had a daughter, London, who came with her, who came in, and London, who she sent for. They can't come together. They have to establish themselves in the colony first, and when they get to a point where they have a place for their kids to come to, then they can bring their kids. So London came in, but Samantha has essentially built London souvenir shop right here, and she is in the process of building a large farm for Philippa and for Roland, and we'll talk about their story another time. But those are our 4 builders, and Jerome used to be one of the 4 builders. He was one of the original 4 colonists, so only 2 of the 4 colonists became builders. The other 2 colonists, Charity, became the teacher, and she is the principal of the first school, and so she's still principal here, New Masseque Way. And it says prep on this sign because, can I get that sign to change? Yes, because there was a time when it was the only school with the university, but it is now the first school. So kids don't go to school, young adults go to school, and they go to first school if there is one, or they go to prep school. Oh, that's right. I had Noah increase the size of this university, this school, sorry about that, this school, and he built a little bit more onto the property, and so he put some of the original torches back and some of the original posts back in certain areas. And so but this is Charity's school. It's been Charity's school this whole time, and I love the school. I'm not letting it get up to a level 5 because I don't want to lose this sandbox. I just love that there was a sandbox. Oh, it would rain. And then down here, Edmund, who is the other original 4 colonists, one of the original 4, is our fisherman. And he is, the only thing I can think is that he has crabs or mussels or something that he is doing in the water. because he no longer fishes. He no longer uses a fishing rod and throws out to fish. He always is in the water taking care of something that he is growing in the water. See, he's going to come out and go back in the water and continue farming. And the only thing I think that he can do, that he's doing, is something like mussels or crabs or something of that nature, because that is how he is spending his time. He should be able to fish, and there is a what would you call it, a fix, an actual programming fix for them that was supposed to work, and it worked for a little while, and now it doesn't anymore. So there's something going on with them. The developers of Minecolonies have moved on to 14 and 15, and so they are not necessarily, if it's something that affects 14 and 15, it'll probably be fixed in 12, but I'm happy that 12 still exists and 12 still runs so smoothly. There was a time when if you had a colony this big, you almost couldn't. It was just so processor heavy. So we're in the process right now of tearing down what used to be the patrol tower on the outskirts of town, but as you can see, town has spread far beyond this tower. It was an equestrian tower. We used to have a barn here and kept the horses and mules that belonged to the Marines in this tower. However, those animals are now waiting for their field to be fenced in, and they are in this area here. They do not have names. They have designations, but they don't have names right now. I am actually waiting for someone to suggest names. So if you would like to suggest a name for the horses, let me know. And and put it in the comments, because I haven't named them yet. So that is the introduction of New Masseque in my stream. Now this started out as a test stream, turning it into sort of a premiere streaming of Roslidian Plays Minecolonies. But I don't have a name yet for what I'm actually going to call it, but I'm leaning towards soap opera Minecolonies, because that is what I do. I have soap operas with the people who live in this city, and you've heard some of that as an introduction to my Minecolonies. This is the third and last city right now. I am waiting for a couple mods to be updated so that they can run in 14. Specifically, I'm waiting for a chisel, and I'm waiting for one other mod that I can't think of right now in order to go into 14 and have an actual Minecolony in 14. And Minecolonies has changed a huge amount in this last year, and I am so happy that they did. And we will continue to do tours on Sundays. So let me get out of this rain. I'm going to run in here and get out of the rain. So if you are interested in seeing, did it just get dark? No, we're about to have a thunderstorm and everybody is running home. Look how dark it got. It is not nighttime, it's daytime. So people are running home because it's going to thunder. It's probably going to be a thunderstorm, and wow, they can be pretty dangerous. And so everyone is going to quickly go home There's Kinsley, she's on her way home. There's Mason, and he's on his way to his apartment. And there's Maya going back to her home from her bakery, and everyone is running home right now. I thought maybe we would hear the thunder, but we're not going to. So tune in next time, because this is the end for this Sunday. I've done all three cities. If you didn't see the two earlier cities, they are on YouTube and you can go to them. If you want to know what my streams are kind of like, I was doing New Masseque, this city. Early on, I started it as a YouTube project and was pre-recording them specifically for YouTube. So if you want to see what this city looked like before all of these big beautiful new buildings, you can actually go on, you can actually look at that on Roslydian. You'll see them, you'll see the videos, the pre-recorded videos. So enjoy watching all the other streamers, and thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm going to say something in the chat right now. I'm just going to say thanks for watching, and to my constant viewer, thank you so much. You are so appreciated. You are so appreciated. There! We did it! We heard it! Yay! We stayed long enough to actually hear the thunder. I knew that was a thunderstorm. I knew it. So enjoy watching all the other gamers. Bye for now. Bye for now.